Hello, hello, hello. Let's make sure that this is working. So as you're coming in, a like is going to go a long way. Hopefully the audio is coming through okay. We're talking new construction, new homes, new builds, whatever you want to call it. That's what we're looking at today. So we're actually going to break into the industry, or I'm going to give you the blueprint to do that, where it's the same blueprint that I use and the same blueprint that I'm sharing with real estate agents, whether they're new or experienced, to get into new construction. So let me know as you're coming in if you can hear me okay. As soon as I can confirm, there we go. We can hear it okay. All right, so as you're coming in, a like is going to go a long way. And also let me know where you're listening from. It's going to help me understand what time I need to be going live a lot more. So I was very ready to unleash the iPad on you. I've had the iPad I got this iPad specifically to do some screen sharing, and it's been sitting right back here. It's been sitting right there. You can't see it, but it was been sitting there for 2 months now. And I just haven't done anything with it. So today was the day, but when I plugged it in, it just gave me this big honking noise. So I got to figure that out. So we're gonna need to get visual. So I like to have visual aids for you. So I was banking on the iPad working today. So my apologies. So we're gonna get going. Either way, new construction, new build, new homes, they're all interchangeable. So the difference being is this real estate niche is a little bit different than resales. So resales is what you typically think about whenever you're in real estate, where a house is up for sale because a family is moving out of there. So there was already a homeowner there. With new builds, new construction, it's generally the builder that's selling it to you directly. So that's the difference. So you have resales with homes that have been lived in, and then you have new builds, new construction, new homes. Again, they're interchangeable, and I'll actually use those interchangeably today. But that's what we're looking at today. We're breaking into industry. And the reason I feel that this video is so important, especially today in the market that we're in, is because there's such little inventory. Now, again, when you're watching this video, it may be different. It might have turned into the opposite. It might be a buyer's market, but right now it's a seller's market. So there's not as many homes that are up for sale right now. So you have to find inventory somewhere. Either you create it by sending out mailers, doing door knocking, calling, running ads, or generating the inventory yourself so you can sell it to your buyers. That's still on the table. No one's saying don't do that. But there is a huge avenue of new construction, new build, new homes that are being created today, and that is through builders. Now, even the market is just so crazy that even builders are behind. Builders are putting out wait lists. Builders are built as soon as lots get released, they get snatched up quickly. So much so that there's even lottery systems now. So your chances of you and your buyer getting picked out of a hat, almost literally, are depending on how many lots and how many competitions are around. So that's these casting systems, or these lotteries. That's what they're doing right now in certain communities. So all that to say, new construction looks a little bit different than a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But it will also look different in the coming year, the year after that, year after that. So what I want to illustrate with that particular example is that new construction is going to be here to stay. New construction is an opportunity that's never going to be perfect. There's not going to be hey, this is now the perfect time to do it and learn about new construction. You just have to learn. You just have to get into it. So with new construction, again, new builds, new homes, new communities, what have you, it is a very rewarding niche to get into because typically there's going to be more inventory. Again, we just talked about that briefly, but there's going to generally be more inventory. The homes are much more marketable. It's so much cleaner and easier to market a property that has no blemishes. New construction, new homes, they have warranties. So typically whenever you sell a home, you'll generally pick up a home warranty for your buyer, but that's generally for 1 year. Well, with new construction, you have stellar warranties. Most builders will either offer the warranties themselves from their company, or they'll hire a third-party insurer or home warranty company to cover their product. So a standard home warranty that you can expect is a 1 year door to door. So basically from front door to back door, bumper to bumper coverage, where as the home settles and you start seeing the home shift from the foundation and the plywood and everything else, if there's something very, very common in new construction are nail pops, like nails literally popping out, you can go back and get them retouched. And there's a lot of other things that you can do. Those are just examples. You'll have tile that cracks. Again, it's because that's settling. Well, that first year, those are covered. Anything that has to do with, basically you're getting a new house for that first year again. It's there's a lot of things that go with that, but that's a 1 year coverage. A 2 year coverage is typically electrical, is typically plumbing, is those more mechanical, larger ticket items that should not be failing that early on. So that's your 2 year coverage, and then your 10 year coverage is more of your structural coverage that if the wall for whatever reason just falls over, it gets covered. I know that's a little bit extreme, but that's the best way that I can illustrate the structural part. If the foundation fails, that'll also get replaced. And then you have your appliances, your typical appliances. They're going to vary depending if you have some Samsungs in there, if you have Frigidaids, if you have Whirlpools. You have the appliance insurances or the warranties on the appliances, and also on your HVAC unit. So the HVAC units also have their warranties, if you will. I got down a rabbit hole, so my apologies, but I was going into the benefits of new construction. So when you're looking at selling new construction, there's just so many benefits that we already covered. Again, there's more inventory, it shows better, there's warranties. Generally, you make more. This market might be a little bit more challenging right now because of all the demand, but typically in a normal market, especially in a buyer's market, you will make more because home builders need buyers. And over 80% of the buyers that end up going with new construction are brought by real estate agent, aka us. So builders need us. It's an absolute necessity. So that's just a little bit of the working together. Now, of course, there are some buyers that go directly to builders themselves, but for all intents and purposes, we still bring the majority of the buyers to the builders. Does that make sense? So let me know in the chat if you have any questions as we get going. Our goal here is to break into the new construction niche because it is so valuable. And I'll give you some very tactical ways to get into it so you don't have to guess and be all... I wish I would have had this video whenever I started doing my first deals in new construction because I had no idea what I was doing. I might, if we have time, I'll kind of cover that story on how that happened. But most important thing is getting into the industry. I'll now typically show you a process, or the process that new construction goes through. So those are the benefits. That's something that I encourage you to really look into new construction as a niche for you. And it doesn't mean that you are forgoing resales altogether. No, that's not part of it. When you're focused on new construction, you can still work on resales. It doesn't mean that you let that part of the business go. In fact, when you focus on new construction, you're going to oftentimes have a home that you need to sell. So if you focus on new construction, just by you being very intentional and being that new home specialist, you're going to generate a ton of listings because it's not very common that a homeowner's first home is a new build. It happens plenty, of course, but it's not as common. So most people, especially when they're buying, they'll go to a resale. So whenever somebody is looking to get into new, chances are this isn't their first house. So whenever you help somebody buy a new home, regardless of the builder, you're going to have a home not all the time, but oftentimes you're going to have a home that you can sell and that you can list. So again, simply because you're focusing on the new construction does not mean that you're letting go of your resale business altogether. In fact, it's that just doesn't happen. So don't think that because you're focused on new construction, the rest of your business goes away. Far from it. So as you get going, one of the best things I can tell you is get familiar with new construction very, very quickly. And I don't mean just from watching videos. I don't mean just by reading blogs about it, by literally going to these new build communities. If you have never purchased a new home, or you have never sold a new home yourself, either from a consumer or from a real estate agent, then it's tough to speak on something that you just don't know. So thankfully, I've been blessed to purchase multiple new homes myself. So me as an investor and as a owner occupant, but I've also been able to sell a good amount of brand new homes. So I've seen it from a consumer standpoint. So from me being a consumer, and also from a practitioner of a real estate agent. So if you have neither of those, even if you do actually, so even if you do have that experience, it's good to get familiar with new build in the community. Now, the challenge with new builds, new construction, is that there's really no central database for new construction across the board. Now, you're going to find that some builders will put their inventory or limited inventory onto the MLS. Now, some builders will pay agents to do that, or just pay just a flat fee to do that, to put it on the MLS. And there's some builders that will market independently, so they'll just put their entire marketing staff on the marketing into the marketing, so they don't put on the MLS. And there's some builders that will go to companies such as New Home Source, so New Home Source, so it's 3 words but tied into one, so newhomesource.com. That is as closest as you can get to a national database of new build communities. So when you're looking to build proximity to new construction, you got to find the new construction first. So the best way to do it is to go to Google Maps and then type in new homes, wherever it is that you're looking for. If you're looking in Dallas, if you're looking for New York, if you're looking for Orlando, if you're looking for Los Angeles, Las Vegas, wherever, go to Google Maps first and see what's there. So this is a great way for you to identify the new build communities. Now, once you start seeing the communities around, click on them. Some of them will be outdated posts, so some of them will be outdated information because the builders have long gone from that physical location and are building it somewhere else, so that might be outdated. But it's good to understand where the communities are or where they were, because it'll give you a good sense of what is new. Now, once you find those communities, so again, we're speaking about the communities, going and being in the communities, going and touching new construction. So first is going to Google Maps. The second place would be going and doing a Google search. So Google Maps and Google search, they're slightly different. So when you go and do Google search, you're looking for new build communities and going to their websites. So that's really two of the primary ways. There's 2 more that I want to cover, but those are primary ways that you will find the builders that are building in your area. So in our particular area, so I live here south of Fort Worth, I know that D.R. Horton is around. I know that Meritage is around. I know that Lennar is around. I know that the Toll Brothers is around. I know that there's other builders here that are building right in this neighborhood. So first I would go to Google Maps, then I would do the Google search. So start going to the websites, and in the websites themselves, you're going to see the communities that the builders are building. So that'll give you a good understanding of where they are. Now, the third source would be the New Home Source. So we talked about, just go to newhomesource.com, and you're going to see various builders that may not have the strongest Google Maps presence, that may not have a good SEO or be found on Google, that they are actually paying New Home Source to advertise their community. So again, New Home Source is as close as you can get to finding these new build communities. So our goal is to really find them and so we can actually start going to them and get that proximity. Now, second thing is, the fourth thing is actually driving the community, driving the area, looking in your community where you're farming, where they're actually building. You're going to find places that are just going up. You're going to find places that have been there for a while and you just started noticing them, that they're actually building. So by you driving around, you're going to find the inventory that didn't make it over to Google Maps. You're going to find inventory that you couldn't find with your Google search. And you're going to find inventory that was not on New Home Source. Again, when we're talking about new builds, there's no national database that has all the new builds. Some are going to be on the MLS. Some of them are going to be on the website. Some of them are going to be on New Home Source. Some of them are just not going to make a digital presence. So if you don't drive the area that you plan to work, you're not going to find those new build communities, right? So just taking a step back where we've come from, we've talked about the benefits. We've talked about that there's more money, that there's generally less work, that the homes show better, that the home warranties are a really good option for those people that can afford to buy new. So that's one. And then two is we need to go and touch the product. We need to go and have conversations with the home reps. We just need to know what it looks like. So especially if you haven't purchased brand new builds, or if you haven't sold a new build before, you have to get familiar with the communities, with the product that you're selling. Now, the third thing is going and actually speaking to the sales reps. This is going to be different across the board. There's going to be some builders that are national builders that have a model home and are fully staffing the model homes with sales reps. Not all builders are the same, especially smaller builders. They don't have the cash flow to build model homes. They may not have the cash flow to have a sales rep in those model homes at all times. So that might be a little bit different. But for all intents and purposes, if you go to a community where 50, 100, 1,000 homes are being put down on the ground and are being built, chances are that there's at least one, many times multiple, but at least one mobile home, one model home that you can go into. And it's when you go to those model homes and start having conversations with the sales reps that you're going to learn so much more. Again, you can watch all the videos, you can do all the blogs, you can do all that type of training, but until you're speaking with sales reps, until you hear what they say about the communities, until they tell you about the phases, until they tell you about what's covered and what's not covered when it comes to closing costs, you're just not going to know. The information is not out there all of the time. Even if there's a builder that has a ridiculously good website, there's only so much that you can learn sitting behind the desk. You have to go and have conversations. You will need to engage with these sales reps because at some point, if you do your job right, the next time that you come back around is going to be with the client. The next time that you come back is going to be with the buyer that's potentially looking to buy. So it's very important that you find these communities. We'll talk about marketing here shortly, but it's extremely important that you start having conversations with the sales reps that are within these communities so you can know how to market. The product appropriately, and so you can learn the process. Is this making sense? Let me know if you have any questions. We're talking new construction, new builds, and new homes. They're all interchangeable. All right. So we talked about the benefits. We looked at where to find them. We looked at the conversations we need to have with the new build sales reps. Just some questions so you know what to ask. You can ask anything you want, but generally you want to ask what phase they're in, so it'll let you know how many more homes are going down, what the the range of prices are. So you're going to be from 300 to 500, or is it 400 to 800? Is it 800 to 1.2 million? Whatever market you happen to be in, you need to understand that. You need to understand what warranties they have. Is it a 1, 2, and 10 year like we just talked about earlier? Do they have any closing cost? Who's paying for title policy? Generally, it's going to be the builder. You want to understand as much as you possibly can. So when you have conversations with potential home buyers that are potentially going to buy a brand new home, well, you're able to articulate at least the big parts. You don't need to know everything about the new build itself. You don't need to know what type of plywood they use, what type of windows they use, all this other stuff. It's good to have that information, but it's not a necessity. You just need to know enough information so as to bring your buyers into the community, so the sales rep, they can give that information because that's all they know. They were trained specifically to know the type of window. They're trained specifically to know what type of HVAC. They're there for a reason. So allow them to do their job. Your job is to bring a client. So those are the types of questions that I would ask. And of course, one of the big questions that comes up is, well, how much do they pay? It depends. So you can ask the sales rep at that time, hey, do you have any agent bonuses at this time? They'll generally say yes or no. I mean, it just depends. In this market, probably not. In future markets, probably yes. You can find 2%, 3% as bonuses. It's not uncommon to have a additional incentive that the builders are offering additional incentives so agents can bring a ton of buyers and they don't have to have a finished product on their books, because when a property gets completed, then every day that goes by without that home being sold, their profits are dwindling. They're going less and less because of taxes, because of overhead, because of financing charges, all that fun stuff. So that's something else to consider whenever you're having conversations with the sales reps, so you understand what you're talking about, right? Now, it's also in this visit that you're going to start marketing. It's also in this visit that you need to make a video about the property. So either do a full tour for YouTube, so you can do a full tour of the new construction and then throw it up on YouTube. Very simple edits. Or two, you can actually just do a very quick walkthrough or tour of the home, but in vertical format, so you can throw it up on your Instagram Reels, you can throw it up on your Facebook Reels, you can put it on TikTok, you can put it on YouTube Shorts. Again, it's very important that you use it in vertical because that is short form video, and that's a great way to start marketing yourself, that you're in business, and also the community. So those types of videos are doing incredibly well. Many of them are getting thousands of views, and for you were going to do it anyway. You're going to have conversations with these sales reps, but if you take a little bit of time to actually do a video of the community, you're going to find that it's going to strike a chord with some viewers that are going to eventually be buyers for you. So that's a very immediate way that you can start building your book of business. That's why I really like new construction, because the inventory is, even though it's still compressed, there's still a lot of it, right? So you have a lot of opportunities of working with builders and not necessarily have to worry about having your own listings. Now, something else that you can do is offer to do open houses with the model homes or homes that are complete. It's another way to start leveraging the product that's already there. So we've talked about shooting video, we've talked about doing open houses, and those are just two strategies that you can leverage with these new construction, with these new builds. The third strategy that I want to recommend is doing Facebook Marketplace or Meta Marketplace, and also marketing on Craigslist. You marketing a new build is a great way for you to not only market just that one community, but you can market multiple communities. So nobody's saying that you have to be exclusive to Lennar. You don't have to be exclusive to D.R. Horton. You don't have to be exclusive to Toll Brothers. You can market all of the builders that are within your area. So that's a phenomenal thing, especially if you don't have any listings of your own. Is that making sense? Let me know in the comment section if that makes sense, or if you have any questions about that process. Now, those are just some very practical and tactical ways to market your business and really break into new construction. So we talked about the benefits. We talked about the benefits. We talked about how to find the new construction. We talked about having conversations with the with the sales reps. And then we also looked at how to market these new builds. It's very important that you know a little bit about new construction. You don't want to find yourself with a buyer wanting to go and look at a new construction and just sounding completely ignorant in front of the sales reps and in front of them. Most importantly, it doesn't matter what the sales rep, what they think of you. It's really more about your clients, because they want to know that they're working with a real estate professional that knows how to guide them through a real estate transaction. So just to give you a brief overview, new construction is different. Just understand that. But just some overview. Even though we're talking about different markets, we're talking about different states, different counties, different builders, just the overview that I want to give you in terms of the process is when you go with your client to a new build home or a model home, they're going to be asked to sign in. It's okay that they sign in. In fact, it's strongly encouraged that they do sign in, but they have to put your name down as the real estate agent that they're working with. So make sure that you coach up your clients. If there's even a possibility of new construction, make sure that whenever you have your buyer consultation with buyers, that you inform them, hey, in the event that you go and see a brand new home without me, make sure that you put me down as your representative, because I don't want them taking advantage of you. And say it just like that. You're not saying it. You don't want to say, hey, make sure that you put down my name because I want my commission. Yes, that's true. But at the end of the day, if they don't put your name down in terms of who they're working with, it's very tough for the builder to say yes to you. In fact, they're looking for reasons to say no to you. They're looking for reasons to not have to pay that additional commission. So that, again, if a client comes in and doesn't put your name down that they're being represented by you, it'll say on every single form that's out there by the builder as they're checking in, it'll say, are you working with the real estate agent? If so, who? And their contact information. They ask that up front. And if your client forgets to put your name down because for whatever reason they didn't read it or they just didn't think to put your name down, then you are out $6,000, $9,000, $20,000, however many $1,000 of commission that would have been for you. It's very tough to get your name on there after the fact. It's not impossible. I've done it many times, but at the same time, you don't want to go through that. And that's where building that relationship with the sales reps ahead of time is so important. That's if you have a relationship with the sales rep, they'll know, oh, okay, yeah, they just forgot, so I'll go ahead and put your name down, right? So we're not trying to burn any bridges here. On the contrary, we're trying to build bridges, and that's why it's important that we know the process. Now, once your client goes and sees homes, or they look through the catalog, or they are ready to move forward, they're going to be asked to put some money down. It's not going to be a huge amount, but it's going to be a commitment. It's going to be a commitment. It could be $500. It could be $1,000. It could be $5,000. Whatever it happens to be, that's going to be at the same time. They're going to pay that money, and they're going to typically in a check form and all that fun stuff. Some people have different refund policies. Some builders have different refund policies, but it's at that time that the home buyer will be asked to fill out the contract. And this contract is not your normal contract that you're used to working with on resales, regardless of the state that you're in. This contract is one that the builder created. Again, we're talking about bigger builders here. There are some smaller builders that do use the same contracts that you and I use for resales. Well, let me rephrase that. Not for resales. That your commission gives you. As an example, Texas Real Estate Commission does have a new build contract, but very few builders use it. Builders use their contracts, and it is very tough, almost impossible, to get a bunch of edits made. So understand that whatever the builder puts in front of your client, there's very little wiggle room. You can wiggle room the price. You can make you can adjust when it's closing. You can adjust to a certain extent. You can adjust the price. You can adjust some other terms. But as far as verbiage in terms of warranty, liability, and things of that nature, that's just not changing. That's not happening. So it's important that you prep your buyers that way, because there are some very litigious buyers that will read everything, and that's okay. But there's this assumption that they'll have, I'll just strike this out, strike this out, strike this out. Well, if you have that type of consumer, then they just struck their way out of a house because the builder will not go with that. So just give you a heads up, because I have had that situation. It's an uncomfortable one to be in. So just giving you that ahead of time, right? So we're talking about breaking into new construction, new home builds, new home sales. I want you to have the information that you're not going to have. Again, all this is through experience. I'm just sharing it with you because I have this experience. I share this with all the agents that join me and partner up with me. We have stellar campaigns that we create for our group, for our agents, where we launch ads for them for free. We'll give them business, not only from the builder side, all that fun stuff. But if you're interested in a partnership, just the link is down below. What I'm trying to convey is that there's this experience that unless you're going through it, you're just not going to have. So that's why I'm going into a little bit more detail than you'll typically find in other videos on this channel or other channels. I want you to have as much in your arsenal, so when the time comes, you don't have to learn through personal experience. You've actually seen it through somebody else, right? So this will help you grow a lot faster, especially in this real estate, the new construction real estate niche. Once the contract is executed, well, depending on what phase that home is in, or depending on the build that you got, whether it's a fully custom or if it was a production build, we'll just talk about production build to keep it moving. These are spec homes, so homes that are just ready, that there's not much changing to them, that they're ready to go. It's just a matter of the builder building that and doing the final touches. But with spec homes, these, you're not going to be able to change too much in them. So there's certainly not going to be a design center. If you're going to a more custom builder, then the process is going to look a little bit different than we are talking about going to a design center and picking out tile, picking up color, picking out X, Y, and Z. But with production homes, you might be able to change the elevation, meaning what it looks like up front. You might be able to change the color of the stone or the brick or what have you. But for all intents and purposes, the house that was allocated to lot 103 is going to be the house that goes on 103. You're not going to be able to change it back and forth. It all varies, but again, this is why I want to introduce you to the terminology and the verbiage so you're not surprised when it happens. Now, once you are in contract, once your home buyer is in contract, very similar to resales, your home buyer needs to work on getting approved. Many builders will actually have financing either through a partner company or within their own company as well. If they're large enough, like D.R. Horton, they're gonna have their own financing. But for the most part, you're gonna have a preferred lender for the community, and that preferred lender is very important because a lot of the benefits that are being offered to you, whether they're offering closing cost assistance, whether they're offering to pay for the title policy, whether they're offering to cover, throw in some appliances, whether offering some other bonus or incentive, those are contingent upon your client using that preferred lender. Let me repeat that again. A lot of the bonuses, and if not all bonuses, are contingent upon your client using their preferred lender. So this is why it's very important to have this conversation up front. So if you are working with a client that is torn between resales and new construction, it's very important that you bring this up, because you can find yourself in a situation where you have a very good lender, you have an excellent lender that's doing everything right by your buyers. But if you start looking over here on new construction a week after the fact, a month after the fact, because resales just are a little bit tough right now. If you go over to new construction and they're not the preferred lender, which most of the times they're not, your lender is in a tough situation because they most likely won't be able to match anything that the preferred lender is offering them, because there goes their commission, there goes their money. So the buyer at that point has to make a decision. Do I stick with this lender because they're nice people, or do I go with this preferred lender because they're offering me $4,000, $8,000, $12,000 worth of incentives? well, they're going to go most likely over here unless the lender's even family. Even then, right? So even then it'll be challenging. But that's why it's important to have these conversations up front, because and understand new construction, because it's these situations that are going to create some pretty difficult conversations when the time comes. So I would much rather prep you now than you be in that situation and have to say goodbye to a pretty close lender friend because your buyer is going to go with new, because it makes my financial sense. Again, you're working for your client. You're not working for the lender, but it's still the lender that you probably have a close relationship with because you probably referred that lender to X, Y, and Z person. So being upfront with all the information is strongly encouraged. But if you don't know the questions to ask, if you don't know how this works, then all the good intentions aside, if you don't know the questions and things to ask, then you're gonna be left in a sticky situation. All right, so let me know if you have any questions down below. We're looking at new construction, new home builds, getting started in that niche. It's one that is very lucrative. It's one that is, as you start growing, you can achieve economies of scale at a rapid rate. It becomes mailbox money, as my business partner, Joseph Gonzalez, mentioned. So he and I are very pro on new construction. We have a lot of marketing campaigns that talk about new construction and how to actually work with builders from the builder side, because I work with plenty of builders with our company actually running their ads, but also from the agent side where we help them secure these homes or help secure buyers to purchase homes and also get on the listing side. So we have a lot of experience with new homes and new construction, new builds, because that's our jam. We like that part of real estate a lot more than even the resale side. So as the buyer is going through, again, they're responsible to getting approved, and as the home is being built, which can vary depending on the part of the country that you're in, depending on the complexity of the home. You can have homes that can be built in 6 months, but you can also have homes that can be built in 6 years. It just depends on the complexity of the home. So for all intents and purposes, give it 9 months. Give it 9 months. Again, I'm just shooting straight in generalities here. Give it a good amount of months, or give it 9 months, as I mentioned earlier, to get a home fully built out from scratch, from the moment that I select this model on this lot, and give it some time to be built out. So that's the as the home is being built, the buyer is getting approved, and the quicker that you can get to approval, the more comfort, the safer it's going to be. There's less apprehension or less stress on your part and their part when the home is finally complete, because as the home is being built, you still want to stay involved. It's not hands off. You have to stay involved, going and taking pictures of the home as it's being built. That's strongly encouraged. Post it on social media, share it with your clients. That's a great way to stay engaged. And also, as the home is being built, it's encouraged that a have an inspection as it's being built, right? So there's phase 1 inspections, there's phase 2 inspections, there's phase 3 inspections. You don't need all of those, but I do encourage you to have inspections along the way. So typically what I encourage agents to do is, depending on the size of the house, depending on how many homes are being built, you at least want one home inspection done. At least. So you can do a pre-build inspection where as the home is being framed up, as the plumbing is going in, as the electrical is going in, you can hire an inspector to go in there and inspect. At the same time, understand that there are city inspectors that are going and checking up on the work that the builders are doing. However, with that being said, it's city inspectors. So take that for what it's worth. I would much rather have my own inspector that will go in there that is really answerable to me, as opposed to the city where they have to look at hundreds of homes every single week, or maybe that's an exaggeration. They have to go and look at a lot of homes, right? So having that inspection is very important. And as the home is complete, know that the builder will do a home tour or a home orientation for the buyer. And also it's an opportunity for your buyer to hire another inspection, or in this case, the first inspection, if you don't do a pre-build inspection, so they can go through, just like a typical resale, they would go through and check the attic, check the foundation, check the electrical, check the irrigation. You know what an inspection is. So the inspector would go in there. So there you're talking about 2 inspections. As the home is complete, you're going to have your builder orientation, or your home orientation, where the builder or somebody that the builder has hired will show the home show the buyer how to use the home, whether it's, hey, how to turn off your water, how to where all the electrical panel is wired to, all that fun stuff. Builders will do that for your buyer. I recommend that you go to these orientations so you are educated as well, and also are able to hear things secondhand when a question comes up a month after the fact, 2 months after the fact. Then the buyer is actually going to call you as opposed to the builder. So it's important that you know this information. So that'll be something that'll happen. Again, the home tour. But make sure that your buyer gets a inspection. That inspection, again, is very similar to the resale inspection. In that inspection, they will go through and do the normal inspection, and you'll have a report. Every time I get that report, I just send it straight over to the builder. And then after the builder receives it, we'll have a conversation, and then we'll just go to war. Things are important, I make sure that they fix most of the stuff that they address. But if the stuff that the stuff that they won't agree to fix is a disagreement of what the code says, whether it's, no, you need this amount of insulation, or no, oh my gosh, I'm struggling with the word. The trusses are not built the way that they're supposed to. All this stuff, like the things that have to do with disagreements on code, on what is code and what isn't code, that's generally what they're not going to build. What they're not going to address. How do you get leads for new builds versus resale with your campaign? There's several different ways. We talked about Marketplace. We talked about Craigslist. We talked about, we didn't talk about this part, but Facebook meta ads, or meta ads or Facebook ads. I do have a video where I screen share the actual ad copy, so you might want to check that one out. Seth, that's out there. So it's actually on this channel. So hopefully it's here on the suggested somewhere, or just go to my YouTube channel, go to the videos and search new construction. I share the exact ad copy that we launch ads for agents there. Great question. So we talked about after after the home buyer is in contract, after home buyer's in contract, getting approved. Talked about the walkthrough, so the orientation, which this is where you commonly see the blue tape or green tape, depending on the builder. But this is where you see the blue tape, where during that home orientation, you're going through and taping things up, seeing if there's blemishes. They're responsible for giving you a pretty much flawless house, right? So every builder takes responsibility differently for that. So just know that that's your home orientation, and also you're going to have a home inspection. It's very important. And once the home is pretty close to being complete, the moment that home is ready to go, the moment that home has a lock, has everything, has been vacuumed, everything is presentable, that is when the builder wants you to close. So you can delay not maybe a week. I know you can go beyond a week. You can delay a couple of days, maybe 2 weeks, but don't trust on going beyond that, because what's going to happen is, if you're not able to close immediately, or as close to as soon as possible, as soon as that home is complete, there's trouble. There's trouble for the builder, because the home is complete. Now they're incurring taxes. Now they're incurring additional financing costs, because they're not building these out of pocket. They're financing everything. So they need the cash flow, regardless if they're a major builder that is a D.R. Horton or Lennar, which are the top 2 home builders in the country, or if you have a mom and pop builder. Everything is being financed. So that's why you need to really get your buyers into gear, because don't think that once the home is complete, oh, now I have 30 days to get approved. That's not it. That is not it at all. So make sure that your clients are ready, willing, and able to purchase. Now, if it's a home purchase, generally that's not going to be a big deal. Where it really becomes a big deal is if you have to sell a house that they're in and coordinate the purchase, right? Now, again, the market that we're in, it's a heavy seller's market. Any price that you put out there, any contingencies that you put out there, they're going to get accepted. Let's just be real. But when the market changes, real estate agents need to really become better at what they're doing, myself included, not excluding myself. So we as real estate agents need to be accustomed to adversity from that standpoint, from the listing side. So being a listing agent right now, the most challenging part has been reviewing all the contracts and presenting all those contracts or offers that are being made. But as you start working in new construction, you have to coordinate the sale of this property and then them getting into a new property. So if you sell the property too early and there's a delay in building, so if you sell a property to be closed May 31st and you think that the home is going to be complete May 30th and the build actually gets delayed to June 30th, well, you have a homeless family for 30 days, right? So you need to build in these contingencies so as to make up the difference, not make up the difference. So you need to build these contingencies to protect your clients, right? So that's where there's a little bit more complex situations that come up. But again, it's very important that you have this formation ahead of time so you know how to handle them on the back end. All right, so that's all I had for you today. I know that we went a little bit long today. I want to introduce you to the new construction. So we talked about the benefits of new construction. We talked about how to find these new construction. We talked about speaking with the sales reps. And then we talked about the process. We talked about lead generation. That's the 4th thing. I had everything ready on the iPad. But anyway, how to get the leads. And then finally, we talked about the process itself. We talked about the process of what new construction looks like. It's not as intimidating as it sounds. Once you get a few under your belt, you're going to find that it's actually easier than resales. In fact, significantly easier. Because, well, there's several reasons for that. We'd already talked about it at the beginning of the video, so I'm not going to go into it again. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. New construction is my jam. New builds is my jam. If you're interested in that ad copy or the actual how to run the ads from a meta ads perspective, then I'll link up that video down below. But also, if I forget to do that, check out the YouTube channel where I have a video that actually breaks all that down for you. Or if you're interested in our team doing that lead generation for you for free, then just feel free to reach out. There's a partner link down below that you can